Mike Mills, the man behind the music of Toehider. Welcome to Australian Musician.
G'day, Josh. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. I've been wanting to get you on here to talk to you about music for a long time. Today we're mainly here. Today we're mainly here to talk about your international tour with Closure in Moscow. You've just come
Yep.
back from a run of dates in Europe. How did those go?
Really good. Yeah, it was very satisfying to get back on stage. I haven't played any of this stuff since before pandemic, so it's been quite a long time. Um, so it was very satisfying to finally get back out on stage and do my thing.
Yeah, and audience reception?
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I wasn't really prepared for some of the reactions. It was really cool. Um, this is only the second time that Toehider have played in Europe, so yeah, the response was kind of overwhelming at times. It was awesome, really fun.
Yeah. Well, setting the bar high, I think, for the run of dates across Australia in a couple of weeks' time. You got Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane with Closure in Moscow, and now Hearts joining the bill as well.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
as if that wasn't special or stressful enough, you've also decided on these dates to play the What Kind of Creature Am I album in full for its 10th anniversary. So, whose crazy idea was that?
I think it was mine. I just realised that it was this. It's been 10 years since that album came out, so it kind of made sense to maybe have a crack. And I have had, excuse me, some people, I think yourself included, that suggested that maybe one day we should attempt to do this. So yeah, the timing was right, and yeah, it all just seemed to make sense. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely, yeah. And some of these songs you haven't played in years, and in some cases, there's some songs that have never been played. And then you got to take into account like which overdubs do you try and incorporate into the performance, and which ones do you try and I'm not sure how many backing tracks or what stuff you're using at the moment. So, what's been your process in kind of relearning these songs and preparing for these shows?
Well, I've been over the years. I've kind of flipped back and forward between what what's what's an honourable way to present some of this music live, particularly with the, yeah, like you say, the amount of vocal overdubs and keyboards and whatnot and guitar parts and stuff. So um, I think the last time that we've played Australia, Nick and Aaron and myself just went out there as a three-piece, all guns blazing, and just did it off the grid, um, so without any kind of help from technology. But this time around, we're enlisting the services of, probably just off camera, but I've built a little backing track slash, in-ears monitoring rig, and so we will be playing with all of the keyboard parts and a few sneaky guitar harmonies and vocal harmonies and stuff intact. So that's I think, yeah, maybe it's something to do with wanting to do the opposite of what we did last time. So maybe the next tour we'll go back to just doing it unhelped, and just see what we can do with a guitar, a bass, and a drum kit, and two voices, so, well, three voices. So yeah, I think it's just, try trying a bunch of different ways, and seeing what's the most fun, and it's working out really well this way around. The songs sound a lot closer, I suppose, to the way the album sounds. Like a lot of people have differing opinions on what they hope to hear at a live show. I suppose sometimes people want to hear the recordings, they want to hear the songs more or less the way that they appear on the record, but other people enjoy the um, the excitement and the uncertainty of uh, having a new interpretation of the tracks. So yeah, hopefully everybody enjoys it anyway. Like, this is the way we're going to do it, and we'll see how it sounds at the end of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it, and like not restricting yourself to saying, "Oh, I'm only going to play live," or "I'm only going to use uh, backing tracks and clicks." I think being open and flexible is in an age where really you have to be, because there is so much that's uncertain about performing live, even at the best of times. So, but I think, yeah, in a situation like this where essentially you've got like the two big pieces on the album, you got "Under the Future We Bury the Past," which is mostly a keyboard song for like most of the
That's
piece,
right.
and then of course uh, uh, the big one, which is a particular fan favorite, is "Meet the Sloth," which seems to be heavily influenced by, I guess, the early Genesis epics and the medieval folk, and you got the Irish bouzouki in there and all these different instruments. And I've seen you do it. You've approached it a few different ways in the past. I've seen you do it just acoustic guitar and then do the last bit with electric with the band. And then there have been times where like you've had to do on the live stream just tape the ukulele and the bouzouki together, which was a nice little invention of,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
yeah, which was a nice little, yeah, which at the time was fantastic because that was kind of the first time that we'd heard it in that kind of stripped back format. But I guess it's kind of become a bit of a fan favorite now. Like, were you surprised at the response, or did you write it kind of specifically to tap into that prog market, that audience?
Um, well, definitely didn't. I didn't really have that any kind of preconceived ideas of tapping into markets or anything like that. I think it was just born out of loving a lot of old Celtic music and bands like you said, like Genesis, and also Jethro Tull's a huge influence on that kind of sound. And I had that idea for the story vaguely kind of floating around in my head, and um, so yeah, it just kind of just came together, and I had a few. Um, as you probably know, you have these musical ideas that start out kind of independent from one another, but then at a certain point along the process, you start to devise ways that you can link um, these independent ideas into a larger piece of music, and when things start to make sense, and you start to kind of stitch things together in creative ways to kind of make it work. So uh, yeah, so that's how that I guess the response to that song has been really nice. But it's always a double-edged sword, man. Like I said, I wrote that song 10 years ago, and uh, it's hard when you, well, I could talk. Yeah, I've got about 1,000 different thoughts going in every direction, but I've got a strange relationship with writing songs and how they're kind of how they're appreciated or not. You know, how they're perceived or how they're received, I guess is the word, by the fans. Like, there's been a lot of times where I've spent an awful lot of time writing a piece of music thinking that people are going to love it, and then getting a lackluster response. And then the other side to that is writing a song, you know, just in a day. You're just spending a day writing a song, and then maybe another day writing the lyrics, and then another day recording the thing, or however it works, and not really thinking too much about it, and then discovering once you release the album that a lot of people gravitate toward that song. So I've learnt these days to not think about any of that kind of thing, not to think about how people are going to respond to any of the music that I do. It's just kind of like I have to just, if I think an idea is strong enough, I just want to get it over the finish line and get it finished, and not have to worry about that sort of thing. But yeah, with Meet the Sloth, I think it's like a lot of people have been waiting a long time to kind of hear that song live. So as you said, I've tried doing it on live streams in varying different ways, and I think maybe some of the last performances we did, we incorporated the second half of that song with another song called Den
Yeah.
versus Egg, and we sort of just did a bit of a medley. But this time we're going to obviously play the full song. And yeah, so it's that song in particular. You know, there's a lot of keyboards and orchestral parts, and like you said, there's a lot of acoustic instruments and stuff on there as well. So those sorts of songs make the decision to run backing tracks a little bit easier, because it's like, well, this song would really benefit from having those parts. And you know, until the day where I can afford an orchestra and all of these other players to join us on stage, then I think this is the most kind of logical way to present.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and speaking of like 1,000 different thoughts, I think you've just set up like 5 different questions there yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the one thing that, well, you were talking about writing and how you never really know like kind of what people are gonna gravitate towards, and so you kind of just go full bang. And I found that Toehider songs tend to fall kind of. This is a very broad generalization, but they kind of fall under the 2 categories. You've got the fantastical storytelling side, stuff like Meet the Sloth and like Little to No Memory of These Memories, and then there's some more dramatical storytelling pieces like Guy That No One Really Knows. But then you've got some of the more, I guess, existential tunes that delve into the psyche of a neurodiverse artist with imposter syndrome. We're talking things like The Thing With Me, This Conversation Is Over, Rancorous Heart. I think, do you find, I guess, that those kind of songs, I guess, come a bit more naturally, or do you prefer to kind of lean more into the fantastical storytelling side?
For me, it's definitely just having a healthy mix of all of what you mentioned, as well as you know, exploring all of the I guess the more just ridiculous songs like Smash It Out, for example, was just you know, barely 2 minutes of just, you know, a complete blaze of thoughts, and or it's kind of almost exploring the idea of trying to just turn your brain off and just go for it. That's kind of the sentiment behind that song. So yeah, I've sort of always said that songwriting to me is really just like just this unfiltered approach where really just want to explore all of the different thoughts and emotions and feelings, whether it be anger and sadness and happiness and confusion, and also just all of the songs that are just stupid and just have, you know, just trying to get a laugh out of people. So all of that stuff is important to me, and I don't really have a gauge on whether any of those come easier than any of the others. They're all kind of just always kind of there simultaneously in a way. It's hard to describe, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And there's been a lot of that variation in the latest project, which is 12 EPs in 12 months, round 2. Not exactly 12 months, but no one's going to hold you to that. And you're nearly done anyway, it seems. So obviously there's going to be some pieces that you've kind of felt a bit more strongly about more than others, and others where you're just trying to get it out, I guess, as content, so to speak. So do you have any particular favourites of the ones that you've released so far?
Of this current round? No, again, it's just kind of like just doing whatever feels right and kind of natural at the time, and yeah, just the satisfaction of just getting things done, and yeah, I mean, it's really up to the people that are actively listening and following the thing to kind of decide what the highlights and lowlights are, I suppose. Like, well, having said that, everybody's got a different opinion, which is always fascinating to me. What people think of my strengths and weaknesses. Again, it's just kind of like that concept of this is an unfiltered, you know, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. You know, I don't really want to hide any of the elements, I guess.
Yeah. That's the joy of it. It's the double edged sword of the more material you put out, the more people have something to compare it to, or saying, "Oh, I like this thing better than that thing," and then
For sure.
yeah. Um, but in a way, it's great that you're still continuing to push yourself after what's it been like almost 15 years now. It seems of making music under the name Toehider, and of course we can't talk about Toehider without talking about Andrew Saltmarsh, who is really the other half of the operation. Like it's very much a music and imagery kind of project. So how would how would you describe your relationship with Salty after all these years? And would you say the creativity kind of comes from both sides? You're kind of feeding off each other?
Oh, for sure. Especially, on the, I guess the Patreon side of things, and devising um, these EPs. Like we've more or less worked the same way since the beginning, just bouncing ideas back and forward with each other, and I think he's really gone from strength to strength with this uh, this new kind of batch of EPs. I feel like some of the work he's done is probably the best, is easily my favourite stuff that he's done for the project. The latest EP, Space Famous, I think the cover is exceptional. Um, and yeah, I think it's just his output just seems to get better and better over time, which is awesome.
Yeah, I especially love what he did on for Toehider, as it was called, with
Oh yeah.
the whole LP kind of rings on there and stuff as well. With
Oh yeah.
which thanks to which I guess is mostly like a Patreon exclusive, but thanks to the video that got put out as well, we kind of get to see
Oh yeah.
a little bit of what goes on there. So, are there any plans, I guess, to release? I remember a while back when you announced the project, you were talking about like a CD box set kind of at the end. Would you still do something like that, or would you do something like I Like It, where you just do a compilation of the best tracks?
I mean, the ultimate thing would just to release all of it physically. It's just a case of um, whether it's kind of feasible, I guess, and whether people would be interested in getting their hands on something like that, or enough people would be interested in getting their hands on something like that. I don't know, but it's definitely the idea. The intention is still there. It's just
Mm.
with these opportunities for touring and stuff, and it's still quite the whole Toehider operation is still quite a small thing. So we're just constantly trying to juggle all of these tasks ourselves. And, but yeah, I think the hope would be to put it out as a massive box set, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, because I think the first like you did that for the first batch of EPs, the 12 in 12, which became the first six and the last six, which admittedly, like the actual pieces that Salty did were kind of almost relegated to like to little icons, so there was kind of a bit of a missed
Oh
opportunity
yeah.
there. So I would say if you're going to do it again, firstly, it seems like there's not going to be too many actual discs, but uh, just maybe just putting it in at least some kind of booklet, even if it's just a paper booklet as a as in lieu of liner notes, as
Yeah,
just
for sure.
something. Yeah, it almost kind of goes back to. I remember when Gorillaz put out Demon Days, that kind of how each song kind of had a panel to itself. I was just thinking of that, and yeah, so yeah, and as you say, now you're kind of getting into touring, and now going over to America for the first time as well to play these shows uh, with two new guys. And have you made a verdict on? I take it you're going to take up the bass for this one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be playing bass. I've got Jake Dick playing drums and Ben Cohen on guitar, and I just thought it'd be a cool idea. I've known Ben for a while through his work with Power Glove, and I follow him on Instagram, and he's just this monster guitar player. So I just kind of jumped at the opportunity to work with him. So yeah, and then the idea started floating around of whether or not I could play bass on some shows. Again, it's just kind of like the whole motivation behind this entire Toehider thing is just kind of like, what if, like it's just a huge experimentation and trying different things and never really doing the same thing twice, and have a fear of repeating myself, I guess it seems. So doing this concept of having a different band in Europe, in Australia, and in the States is an exciting thing. It's always like such a buzz to me hearing different players' interpretations of the music that I write, and I'm fortunate enough to know all these incredible musicians, and it just makes sense on so many levels. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's
really
the
looking
way.
forward to that. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, I think that's really the way to do it now, especially when it costs so much to travel into overseas or even interstate. Like there's some local blues guys I know who just have a different band in or different rhythm section in each state. Like they got guys in Adelaide, guys in Victoria, guys in Queensland, or guys in New South Wales. Um, so I think, yeah, as long as you've got all the material kind of ready to go, which it seems like you've got this backlog and recording from home helps with that, and having all the masters and just being able to send it and knowing these players who can just pick stuff up really easily. That's it's a really good way of keeping you on your toes and keeping you and motivated to play, I guess. Like, 'cause if you're just playing with the same guys all the time, then it does get quite tedious. And I'm certainly keen. Like, you've certainly shown us your bass prowess on some of the live streams.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, if I mean, if you didn't have, if you were going to do keyboards for one thing, like you've spoken about like kind of just how much kind of I guess trickery is going on with some of the keyboards and drum stuff, but at least with bass you're on firmer ground.
Oh, totally.
Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And just on the topic of performing live, funny timing at the time we're recording this. I think just last week, we had the release of the Aerion Live Beneath the Waves concert film from last year. And you've played with Aerion a few times now, and obviously the 01 album, which is what this performance is almost like a different beast compared to even anything else in the Aerion catalogue. So how did you kind of approach that run of shows, and what was the experience like for you this time around?
Well, yeah, like you said, it's like, I think, I mean, don't quote me, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to guess that album stands out in the Aerion thing as having the most amount of singers involved. It feels like I didn't even count how many singers were actually on that album, but there's a lot. And my my parts were all originally recorded by the late great Steve Lee, who unfortunately passed away not long after the recording of that album. So yeah, it's kind of like you have to go into that with wanting to be sympathetic to the way he's done it, but also try to do it in my own style and stuff like that. So, but as always with every time I do the Aerion live shows, it's always an overwhelming and incredible experience, and just so many moving parts, and it's stressful and exciting and rewarding, and it's a trip, man. It's you gotta get over there one day and watch one of these shows, because I think you'll really enjoy it.
Oh
The
yeah, and
production level of these shows is insane. And he does it really well. It's a very, very cool way of doing this, like hiring a venue and sort of making the fans come to him in a way. So it makes a lot of sense, and the town Tilburg just gets overtaken with Aerion fans for the week, and yeah, it's a really fun time.
yeah, it's a little bit like a bit like a festival in itself. Like I've done like I'd love to do the Aerion trip one day if circumstances should allow me. But I've done Cruise to the Edge
Oh
about
yeah, cool.
7 years ago, and that was an amazing experience because yeah, all or the guys there just absolutely love this music, and they've come from, and this was pre-COVID, so it was a lot more people of different nationalities. So, and it's something like I'd love to see, I guess, more kind of niche artists do and put some effort into, and actually give them a reason to travel and boost the local economy. Like maybe one day we'll see a Toehider weekend.
Oh man, that'd be wild. We'll just go and rent some island somewhere and just have 24/7 Toehider music playing. That's kind of one of the things
Yeah.
I always joked about doing, but it'd be fun. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah. Hashtag only Toehider.
Only Toehider, exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
If you're ready,
So.
let's put that in later. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Greg, I'm holding you to that, man. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So with all that you've done, kind of at home and overseas, and are there any kind of ambitions left, or what do you find yourself kind of drawn to the most at this point in time?
I don't know. Like it's hard to see what the future holds until until nothing's really going on. You know what I mean? Like I've got two more EPs to finish for this current batch of music, and yeah, and the finishing off the tour. Um, so I'm not sure what's going to happen in the second half of this year. I'd like to get back into my comfort zone and maybe do some more live streams and play around with that format a little bit more. And yeah, I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
I guess
I was going to ask about. I was going to ask about the live streams actually, because it seems like you've kind of taken a break for them for the moment. But certainly, your production value into those streams was just kind of grew as they went on. Like I remember from back in the old, almost like 8 or 9 years ago, the open mic nights, which was basically just a single camera going to YouTube, while everything else was just recorded and done in post and then put up to YouTube. And then it reached a point, and then once we started getting into lockdown and really live streaming was the only way for a lot of us, we started getting like these lighting cues and camera operations, to the point where there were where the audience could actually enter keystrokes to control the lighting and the cameras themselves. And yeah, just and you certainly seem to be a lot more relaxed and be open to a lot more of just conversations and just joking around with Salty, as opposed to, say, some of my live streams, which was basically just like a strict concert, like try and squeeze in as many songs as I could into like a 75-minute session, whereas your shows can seemingly have no limit. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of those come back later in the year.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so talking to fans overseas over this last run of European shows, I feel like there's a bit of a shared feeling of wanting to get back, because I think it also brings the community together. You know, like people can just chat amongst themselves in the chat and stuff like that. I think it's a really I guess I was going to say unexplored. It's not necessarily unexplored, because there's a lot of people doing it, but certainly from my perspective, like it's there's a lot of rewards and benefits that I personally get out of live streaming, because it's, you know, because I'm able to kind of talk to people in real time. You know, it's like you could never do that on stage. You couldn't just have little conversations with people while you're that'd be pretty funny, I suppose, if you could. But yeah, so it's definitely like striking up a healthy balance between doing shows and doing live streams, I think, would probably be the ultimate. So yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
Because a lot of the technical side of things, of having, because as you can see, this room's kind of just filled with crap at the moment, and there's just a lot of things going on, and just constantly building stuff for you know, audio related stuff for touring and the stage and stuff. So yeah, it'd be good to do both simultaneously, but I think it'd be a little bit too taxing at this point. But maybe I'll figure out a way to do it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Or
think maybe
combining
like
both, like doing live streams and like live streaming, like finding a venue in Melbourne to go to once a week and like cause another goal would be to do more live streams with Nick and Aaron, have the full band set up and play a combination of covers and Toehider tunes and just jamming and all that kind of stuff. And they're really funny guys, so it'd be cool to kind of for the Twitch community to kind of see some other personalities involved as well. So maybe further down the track that would be something to strive towards.
Yeah, well, I hope you find a good balance, and I'm incredibly excited to for the tour coming up. I'll be at the show in Melbourne, obviously, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the run, and then going on into America, and whatever the future may hold for you and Salty and the whole Toehider like little enterprise you got going. So thank you so much for all the music you've given us, and here's to many more.
Oh, thanks, Josh. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the support that you've given the thing over the years as well. It's much appreciated.